Wow, what's the motherfucking K deal, man? SheldonVybez in this thing. You know what I'm talking about? Listen, if you ain't subscribed to the channel by now, I need you to go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and tap that notification bell as well. That way, you are amongst those who are notified as soon as I release new content. Also, don't be shy. Drop me some in the comment section. That way I can familiarize myself with you and recognize who you are as we are reacting to the videos. Now, as you have known, Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty on all counts. And who was surprised is not me. You dig what I mean? If you watched any of my old videos, I said that he would get off. I said that this was a display of white supremacy. I said that the judge was putting on theatricals in the court. Theatrics in the court. Cal and his mom was putting on theatrics in the court. The whole trial was theatrics and the display of white supremacy. So nobody is surprised that he got off. At least I'm not. Okay. So let's go ahead and get off into this as the judge reads. And we're going to watch some other news. We're going to get into some other news after this. So just stick by.
The defendant will rise and face the
let's
jury
watch this
and argue
news.
its verdicts.
State of Wisconsin versus Kyle Rittenhouse. As to the first count of the information, Joseph Rosenbaum. We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the second count of the information, Richard McGinnis, we, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the third count of the information, unknown male, we, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the fourth count of the information, Anthony Huber, we, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the fifth count of the information, Gage Grosskreutz, we, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
Members of the jury.
All right. Now, you see? Now, who's not surprised is me, as I've mentioned. They had to let this little brat get off. All of the evidence shows him being guilty. The judge thrown out good evidence to show that his intent that was there to go and do some malicious acts. His intent was to go to do some malicious act. He's on video saying he wish he had his gun so he could quote unquote shoot looters. Okay. They are throwing out the fact, or they have thrown out the fact that he was underage, 17. Illegal weapon, thrown it out. Cross state lines, debunked it. His father lived there. He had relatives that lived there. A lot of crop of bull that the white supremacist does. This is what they do. They deflect. They come up with ways to do little mind trick. They have word salad and they just sit here and throw it up in your face until you eventually eat it. Okay? This is no secret that they let this man get off. Okay? Any 17-year-old black man with any firearm, he's looked at as a thug. All right? This 17-year-old domestic terrorist thug went to intentionally rough up black people because it was a Black Lives Matter protest that was out demonstrating for Jacob Blake, a man who was shot in the back. And with his situation, the police shouldn't have shot him in the back. Yes. But there's been some stories about Jacob Blake personal life that doesn't sit too well with me. I'm not sure if it's true. It's all alleged news. But the things that I've heard, it doesn't sit well with me. So I'm a true believer in karma comes back in any shape or size. So what I'm saying is the police was wrong for doing what they did. But I don't agree with a lot of things that Jacob Blake has allegedly done in his past. So with that being said, I do not uphold anybody just because they are black. I uphold righteousness. That's what I uphold. Kyle Rittenhouse, his ass was wrong, and we all know this. He got off on murder. Okay, boom. Case closed. Hope he live a happy life. All right. Now, what they not telling you on the news is for every L that they have to have some type of W. Now, there was a Kansas police officer who shot and killed a black man. He was found guilty, and I have not brushed myself up on any of the news. So let's watch some of this news together and see what's going on with this case in Kansas. And what we are about to watch is the verdict. They're about to read off this verdict, and the title says Kansas City police officer found guilty in 2019 fatal shooting of black man. Now, I'm going to read the description. It says that a Kansas City police detective was found guilty of manslaughter in 2019 killing of a black man who was fatally shot in his own backyard. God damn. Dude had every right to blow the police head smooth off his shoulders. Smooth off his shoulders. But he got his head blown off. Ain't that some boy? Jackson County Circuit Court Judge J. Dale Youngs announced his decision Friday afternoon. Eric DeValcanieri, whatever his last name is, that guy, Eric, 43, was charged with first-degree involuntary manslaughter, armed criminal action in the December 3rd, 2019 shooting of Cameron Lamb. He was convicted of second-degree involuntary manslaughter and armed criminal action. So let's check him out.
Number one, defendant was not acting in lawful self-defense. Number two, defendant was not acting in lawful defense of Sergeant Schwam. And three, it being conceded that defendant and Sergeant Schwam were not effecting an arrest of Cameron Lamb or preventing his escape after an arrest, that defendant did not lawfully utilize deadly force as a law enforcement officer under Missouri use of force laws applicable to such officers. The court further finds from the admissible evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that when defendant followed Sergeant Schwam into the backyard of 4154 College and engaged Cameron Lamb, ultimately shooting and killing him, he did so without considering or being aware of the substantial and unjustifiable risks associated with his conduct, including but not limited to the fact that Sergeant Schwam and he were unlawfully on the property, that they were both escalating a situation that previously had de-escalated, and that their actions created or exacerbated the risk that what ultimately occurred would.
They zooming in on this punk
This
ass.
conduct was a gross deviation from the standard of care that a reasonable person would exercise in the situation and constituted criminal negligence, as that phrase is defined under Missouri law. Accordingly, as to count one, in which defendant is charged with the Class C felony of involuntary manslaughter in the first degree, the court finds the defendant guilty of the lesser included offense of involuntary manslaughter in the second degree, a Class E felony. As to count two, the unclassified felony of armed criminal action, the court finds the defendant guilty. A date for sentencing will be determined after further consultation with counsel. The court will order the preparation of a sentencing assessment report. If the defendant chooses to file a motion for new trial, his deadline for doing so is extended 10 days. I will order the defendant remain free on bond pending sentencing. That will be the court's order. Counsel will withdraw their exhibits. Good luck, everybody.
Bruh better kill his motherfucking self. Well, he a ex-police officer. He may get 5, 10, 15 years at the least. You know what I'm saying? They easy on the police officers. They easy on them. Yeah. So he's found guilty. Now, that does not mean he will get to serve any of the time that he should serve. But he's found guilty. If I was him, I would just go ahead and kill myself. You know what I'm saying? Fuck it. Fuck it. Let's go ahead and end it right now. You don't want to go to prison. That's what you don't want to do. We know this. You locked up a bunch of them guys. So now you about to get some of the karma back. Maybe. You're going to get 1/10 of it at least. You're going to get 10%. You know, you might not get all of it because they're going to be coddling your ass. The family happy, sound like. Or is that his family crying? What's going down, man? Sound like they throwing a party in the goddamn courtroom, man, in the hallway outside or whatever, in the lobby. Yeah, man, hang your head. Hang your head, man. Yeah, it's guilty. Yeah, you didn't have to do whatever the fuck you did, man. And I don't know this case. It's sad. It's so many of these cases out here. It's so many. We don't even know all of the names. Something else. Something else that they are not telling you in the media. Let's get to it. A second appeal made on behalf of Amber Guyger, the former Dallas police race soldier, is what I'm going to say, because she's not an officer. She was a Dallas race soldier that was convicted of killing Botham Jean in his home, has been denied yet again by the Texas Fifth Court of Appeals. The first appeal of her conviction was made and rejected this past August. This silly, dirty bitch had the nerve to try to appeal her conviction. Has she even been locked up a year? Had a broad even been locked up a year yet, man? Anyway, let's continue. According to Fox 4 News, Guyger's attorney sought to undo a 10-year prison sentence. 10 years? You can't do that. You done killed this man's life. He doing life, eternity, in the dirt. He ain't coming back. Not as Botham Jean anyway. You can't do 10? You just got off of murder. You just got away with murder. 10 years? Anyway. Sought to undo a 10-year prison sentence for the 2018 fatal shooting for the 26-year-old accountant. John was innocently sitting in his 4th floor apartment eating a bowl of ice cream, y'all, when the then officer came into his home and shot him dead. Just imagine eating ice cream in your home, watching your favorite cartoons, got one sock on, you know what I'm saying? A hole in your wife beater, in your drawers, just chilling. Next thing you know, you hear a loud noise at the door, and next thing you know, you getting shot. Damn. Sad. Anyway, let's continue. Testimony revealed that she lived directly below his, and she thought she was entering into her own domicile, believing a stranger had broken in when she shot him. How silly can you be? They making y'all work that many 12s at the police station? You pulling that many hours till you that delusional when you get off work? You don't know what 3 and 4 look like. You don't know what the 300s and the 400s look like. You just go straight into your shit. You didn't look or nothing. I don't get it. It wasn't decorated differently or nothing. You ain't have certain decor on the door. You didn't have what they call them things now, the ringer on the, you didn't have what, none of them? Nothing different. Everything was the same, just happened to be the same. And the key words, or was it unlocked? Guyger and her team contended that Her use of deadly force was reasonable, using that the strategy to appeal for a rehearing. Did I read that right? Let's reread it. Guyger and her team contended that her use of deadly force was reasonable, using that strategy to appeal for a rehearing. Okay, I read it correctly that time. See, it's the emphasis you put on certain words. You did. The Court of Appeals denied their petition. Yeah, and rightfully so. 3 judges, Chief Justice Robert D. Burns III, and Justices Lana Myers and Robbie Partita Kipnis, disagreed and laid out their reasoning in a 23-page ruling. They wrote 23 fucking pages about why your ass deserved to be in the pen and why you really just got off of murder. Bitch, you doing 10 years. You better be happy, goddamn it, before we add some more onto it. Shit, you sitting here asking about some appeal. You better sit your ass in there goddamn solitary confinement and shut the fuck up. In addition to their collective siding with their earlier courts on the 33-year-old's use of deadly force, they also rejected the notion that evidence supported her being convicted of criminally negligent homicide rather than murder. Amber Guyger's trial made headlines for a number of reasons, creating a deep divide in Dallas along color lines. Did it? If it did, that was racist any motherfucking way. Like, it was right versus wrong. Right versus wrong. Why the fuck is they trying to create some type of narrative that it was a race war behind this shit? No, I know plenty of white people that said her ass was wrong and she should rot in motherfucking jail. And if you disagree, then I have to believe that you are a racist. I'm sorry. 3 days after the shooting on September the 6th, she was arrested on a manslaughter charge. Yes. During 1 week of hearing evidence from that night, a grand jury rendered a murder indictment. This later led to her conviction that November. Now, all of this is on the same day of the Kyle Rittenhouse case. All of this happened on the same day. Amber Guyger trying to appeal, and the police officer found guilty, and both of their asses sent right on the goddamn, right on down to the goddamn chain gang. That's it. So I'm saying this to say, this ain't being mainstream. They ain't highlighting this because it's an L for the white supremacists. It's an L for them. But they won with the Kyle Rittenhouse case because, first of all, if they convicted him of any murder, he's 17 years old. That would have charged him, well, he was 17 at the time. His ass would have got off. He would have got a lenient sentence, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos. Dude would have just probably got like 10 years. I can't contest that now because he's walking free, but I'm telling you, that would have charged him as a minor. He would have got off, and that would have been that. But he won, and this was mainstream. It was broadcasted. This right here is not being broadcasted. You didn't know about Amber Guyger trying to get off, unless you dug for it. You didn't know that she was slapped in the face and told to go right back in that motherfucking jail cell and shut the fuck up. You didn't know that shit, did you? Yeah. You didn't know that the Kansas City police officer was found guilty for murdering a black man in 2019, did you? You didn't know that, did you? Unless you done your due diligence, or unless you've already known, or you just so happen to know about it anyway. Which I didn't. I didn't know about Amber Guyger trying to get off. I didn't know about the Kansas City police officer found guilty until I just so happened to come across the information. So I was like, you know what? Let's put 2 and 2 together. This shit ain't being publicized like the Kyle Rittenhouse case, you know? But anyway, during the 33 Zoom hearing with the justices in April, Chief Justice Robert D. Burns III said to Guyger's lawyer, Michael Mauer, "You're overlooking the fact that Miss Guyger testified she intended to shoot Mr. John." That's where she fucked up at, y'all. That's where she fucked up at, y'all. I'm telling you. You see how Kyle Rittenhouse, he maintained his innocence. He maintained his innocence. He told the court, I did nothing wrong. I defended myself. This is his words verbatim. He put up such a display of theatrics and crying. They had no choice but to psychologically go into his mind. And in his mind, this is them using, this is how they got off. This is how they got out. They went in his mind, and in his mind that he really thinks that he had the right to do what he did. Overlooking the fact that he wasn't even supposed to have a gun in the first place. He's 17 years old. This is not lawful. This is not lawful. He's not even supposed to have it in the first place. Okay. Anyway. That's where she fucked up at. Because she said that she intended to kill. And he, even though he's on video saying, I wish I had my AR to shoot such and such. And even though he was on video beating up a girl and he has a history of violence, even though he crossed state lines with an illegal firearm, yeah, overlooking all of the facts that could have thrown him in jail for the rest of his life, he maintained his innocence. And this bitch right here, her dumb ass, she tried to use her white privilege, but she wasn't as slick and she wasn't as young as Kyle Rittenhouse. See, if she was a younger white female and did what she done, she might have could have got off. But she still would have had to maintain her innocence. She intended to kill. If she would have said, I didn't mean to kill him, or I tried to shoot him in his leg, or in his, she probably would have got off. Anyway, let's continue. Where was I at? Myers even swiped at Mola, saying, Mola, is that the name? M-O-W-L-A, Mola. Yeah, okay. Mr. Mola, aren't you erroneously mixing mistake of fact, defense, and self-defense justification? In the November 17th ruling, the three justices noted Guyger testified she intended to kill John when she shot him. She intended to kill him. She didn't even try to wound him. She intended to kill him. That's where she fucked up at. In addition, the state introduced evidence that John was a living human being, an individual whose death was caused by the gunshot wound inflicted by Guyger. Accordingly, legally, sufficient evidence supports the jury's murder verdict. The jury's murder verdict. Her grounds for the appeal strongly lean for a self-defense plea. The ruling also shared why the defense is mistaken and Guyger should remain behind bars by citing various other cases that set the precedent. The justices wrote on page 9, if the evidence raises the defense, whether that evidence is weak or strong, unimpeached or contradicted, and regardless of what the trial court may or may not think about the credibility of the evidence, the trial court should provide the instruction. Thus, in this case, mistake of fact would apply if Guyger mistakenly formed a reasonable belief that negated her intent to kill John. We differentiate mistake of fact, a defense, from justification. Justification provides a defense to prosecution when the conduct in question is justified under Chapter 9 of the Penal Code. Standing on this decision, Guyger will continue to serve the remaining 7 years of her sentence and is eligible for parole in 2024. 7 years? Hold on. So when did this happen? 2018. Okay. Okay. It just didn't seem Time be going by so fast, man. But anyway, Guyger's conviction coming in the fall before 2020, summer of civil unrest, yes, was hailed as perhaps a breakthrough by local African-American activist Reverend Dr. Frederick Haynes of Friendship West Baptist Church, said to Fox 4 News after the verdict. Although he, Bolton John, was murdered, I'm convinced that the justice is experiencing a resurrection here in Dallas that's long overdue. The pastor continued, Unfortunately, it took the death of a perfect victim in circumstances that were quite obvious to most in order for justice to experience what appears to be a resurrection. God dog. All right. So, all of that is because I said all that to say Guyger tried to appeal on the same day that Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty. And notice the words not guilty. Let's talk about that for a quick second. Not guilty is totally different from innocent. All right? I want y'all to understand it. Not guilty and innocent, two different things. Not guilty just mean he had a good case. He fought a good fight in court and he won. That's what not guilty mean. Not guilty mean they had no evidence, quote unquote, because they had plenty of evidence, but the evidence that the judge was allowing in court wasn't as sufficient as the evidence that, he throwed out. Anyway, moving right along. Amber Guyger, she tried to get off on the same day Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty, and not guilty is different than from innocent. Innocent is totally innocent, which we all know what innocent means. That means it's pure, did nothing wrong, did not do the crime. Not guilty means that he basically was just fighting a good fight and won. All right, so the police in Kansas City did not get off. He lost. Double L to white supremacy. 1 W with the Kyle Rittenhouse. So leave me a comment. Drop me something off in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel. Till next time, we out.